Hello, everyone. Jason Hagholm here, and I am joined today by Shari Carruthers. Shari is the promoter for BTC Fight Promotions, which is one of Canada's top mixed martial arts organizations on the regional scene. First of all, Shari, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, Jason. I'm doing okay. Just looking forward to 2021 and getting our feet back underneath us.
Yeah, I think that's the feeling for a lot of people, not just in the mixed martial arts game, but all throughout the world, as 2020 wasn't the best of years. But, let's just take a look back at 2020, Shari. You guys put on one event in Kitchener, BTC 9, which was, a really solid event and, had a great turnout. And then like 2 weeks after that, that's when the pandemic hits and lockdowns go into effect. But how was it for you trying to find ways to maybe, find loopholes to put on events through the rest of 2020? In the summer, I know you guys were thinking about some stuff, but what was the mindset? Because obviously you're a very positive thinking person. You're just trying to find ways to get these shows on.
Well, I think my first thought is I had a team that I needed to keep motivated and I needed to keep moving. And I always knew that we were going to be fine on the other side of this. It was just a matter of when we got there. So, we found lots of ways to have a little fun and be creative, and especially for some of our fighters, to give them some social media content. So, I believe that in everything, there's opportunity. In absolutely everything, even when it seems the most dire situation, there's opportunity. So we took this opportunity to learn, to reflect, to grow. We had an opportunity to work with, a company that picked up all of our content, 1 to 9, and we had an opportunity to play that. Then we put on a virtual fashion show with a lot of MMA fighters. We did some fun social media content just to keep moving, just to keep our feet under us, make sure that people knew that we were still here, that we were still coming, we were still looking forward. So I think we look for anything and everything. So our hope was obviously to still pull out a show in June. We figured it was going to be no fans. It just wasn't going to work out. Numbers just weren't where they were. And I think there was just so many unknowns for the athletic commission, for the province. And I think one thing I have learned, Jason, is that, the MMA community doesn't have a big enough voice, and I'm hoping that on the other side of this is something that I'll have a hand in to change. We put some wheels in motion for that, we just don't have a big enough voice. We don't have a big enough stronghold that we can make the province listen to us, that we can prove to them that we're capable of doing something safe and, that we understand what we're doing and that we understand that's required of us. So I'm hoping, once we get everybody vaccinated, that's something that we're going to, be a part of to put, to make sure that the province knows that we're here and that MMA is not going anywhere, and that, that we plan on, meeting all of their requirements. And then, God forbid, if anything like this ever happens again, we have a voice and we can be heard. And that definitely has been an issue for this community during this.
Yeah, for sure. But it seems like, you and a lot of these other promotions are working hand in hand with the Ontario Athletic Commission to, help not only with a pandemic, whatever, that's now another issue, but like to help grow the sport, because there was a moment here for a while where the sport was kind of on the back burner and not a top priority for the commission. But now MMA, because of the pandemic's on hold, but before that, it was a real boom phase going on with you guys and some other promotions. So how important is it for you to work hand in hand with the commission?
We've been very fortunate, I think, since BTC1, we've built a really strong relationship with the commission, and I consider that, a priority to be a part of things. And, I know that the commissioner we started with, Ray Dempster, eventually moved into policy, and, he's been kind enough to include us and, to poll us on several issues and, in the background. And I believe it's because, we do follow the rules, we do follow the guidelines. They are important to us. And we're easy to work with. So it is important for us to be, to be a part of the future of MMA and whatever that is, whether it's, us expanding, whether it's us growing, or whether it's us working alongside the commission. It is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys you're in particular, you're still working through, like, you guys, as you said, you got some sponsorships, you got a TV deal in the United States to air some of your events. Yep. How important was it for you just to keep working through? Because obviously that's been one of the things with this pandemic is people just get, put in a hole, they listen to the news too much, but you're just still working away as if, the pandemic's not really a thing.
I have, a few mantras in my life, and I believe that standing still is death.
Yeah.
Especially in business, if you're not always moving. And again, like I said, there's opportunity in everything. So, with the TV deal, I knew that, there was nothing going on. So there had to be somebody out there hungry. There had to be somebody out there hungry for what we had. So we just kept digging. We kept digging. And I'm fortunate that I have a great team behind us. I can look at them and tell them, okay, we've got nothing going on. So guess what? We're going to put a fashion show on in our gym. And they might look at me a little funny at first, and they just go, okay, let's go. And so I'm very fortunate that I can assign tasks to people. And although they might think it's a little off center, they usually know that in the end it works out and it's beneficial. So yeah, we just keep plugging away, and that's our goal. And our goal since we started this has been obviously to grow the business, obviously to grow the sport, but it's also been to guide and direct, the athletes. So even, if an athlete has fought for us, we wanted to try and do things that would give them social media content. I believe social media is huge in a fighter's life. So, we would send Patrick out, and we did cooking shows and anything like that we can, try and keep them active too. It was good content, obviously, for BTC Fight, but it was beneficial to them as well.
Well, you mentioned the fashion show, and you guys got a sponsorship deal with Grungy Gentleman, which is a sensational clothing line. What was it like for you to promote a fashion show? Totally something you'd never done before, but something you felt you had to do to help keep growing the brand.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had the privilege of working with Jace for a couple different things. So, I mean, obviously he did a walkout outfit for Adam Asenza, and we had the privilege of going down to New Fashion Week, and a couple of our boys, Adam and Shari, got to walk in the fashion show, which was an experience none like I've ever had. Can't wait to do it again. And then of course built a relationship with Jace. So originally, the fashion show was, like many other things, started just with a conversation Jason and I were having on a Saturday afternoon, and trying to figure out ways for both of us to kind of keep busy and active. And I'm not quite sure how, but within an hour, it turned into a fashion show at the gym. So ideally, it was going to be him coming here to actually put on the fashion show. And then that had been the plan the whole time. So he designed the clothes, of course, under my requirements that we wanted. And, some things got tossed out and most things stayed. And then he was to come. So he got to the airport, and it was about 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I got the phone call that he was not getting on the plane. And I sure wasn't for trying. I tell you, that man stood at that airport just, pounding his chest going, no, 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 and he talked to everybody, and I'm on the other line trying to, see if we can finagle him here, but it just wasn't. So it turned into a little more of just me promoting a fashion show. It turned in me kind of running a fashion show and having Jace, zoom in. But it turned out fantastic. And, how we transformed the gym into looking like a runway, even to this day, amazes me. I think it looked absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really cool event to actually see and start a partnership that, we'll hopefully get to see, especially the fight shorts and everything inside a BTC cage when we can have events. And then let's look ahead now to 2021. It is a new year. You guys posted that you have 4 events plus 2 potentially at the gym without fans. Can we get some details on, especially the events without fans? Like, do you have a dates in place, whatnot? Because we've seen that's kind of been the model that's worked for a lot of these regional promotions, is events without fans at the end of last year and now going into this year.
Yeah. So right now, I think 3 of my 4 fan shows, I am 100% confident will be no issue. So I'm obviously rolling into the new year, and with what the COVID numbers are right now, I'm kind of, a little apprehensive to commit to my March show with fans. However, I'm still believing that I'll be able to pull off a March show. It might be more late March, but I have a sneaky feeling it's probably going to be fanless, which will not drive me probably to, a bigger venue.
Right.
So we have been approved by the commission to hold shows here. I've had them in, they've checked out the cage, the space. So, we're grateful that our gym is a very large facility. So we'll be able to accommodate that here. Similar to Jason, when you were here, when we moved the cage for the fashion show. So similar to that, we put the cage on rollers and we just kind of slide it out, and which will create the perimeter around it for, our commission and, doctors and such. So I am still confident that I should be able to pull off a show, but it's going to be fanless. I think potentially, I was just talking to our matchmaker, I think potentially we might be popping off maybe 3, if I get my way, 4 shows before June even. If we can get moving, if we can do them fanless, I'm hoping that we'll just pop them off right away. Probably smaller cards than what I would like. You won't see probably, Rob and I typically start at 12 or 13 fights, and, we get whittled down from there.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be smaller cards is what I'm anticipating, just to keep everybody safe, just to keep everything moving, and just till we get things, sorted, right? There's still things that have to be worked out as, testing and so on. I'm seeing fighters that we know going to the States, and their method of testing, I'm pretty positive won't be Ontario's method of testing. I think Ontario's method of testing will be a little more hands-on and in facility is what they're going to require. So yeah, we're still working out that. I'm still hopeful. We're still meeting. I still meet with my team regularly, probably about every 2 weeks, the BTC fight team. We've got lots of plans in place for media and growth and, what's coming up. But the plans don't stop. And, we're looking forward to 2021. I am, my November show, I'm 100% positive is going to happen in St. Catharines. That'll probably be full throttle. By then everybody should be vaccinated. I think my August show, they're anticipating full vaccination by September. So my August show shouldn't be an issue whatsoever. I'm even convinced that my June show, our home show in Burlington, should be no issue whatsoever. We're going to have at least our most vulnerable vaccinated and probably a large portion of the population vaccinated by then. So we should be good to go for June. So it's going to be my first show and how we're going to fit in those others. But, if I can make this work here at the gym, and I'm convinced I can, because it's not without planning, we're going to pop off as many shows in here as we possibly can. We need fighters. We need Canadian athletes and Ontario fighters to be active.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, especially considering all last year, they had to go stateside if they wanted to even keep their careers going. But the best news I heard out of you there is that you've got the commission to approve events at the gym. I mean, that's just a huge thing. Like, what was the process like that? You said they came in a couple of times, but that was kind of my fear is like, what's the commission going to do? Because their it's a government agency. There's the cases right now, as you said, of COVID are so much, but if you get the clearance from them, I mean, that's just fantastic news.
Well, no, don't misunderstand me. We don't have clearance for fights. I have clearance for a venue.
Right. Okay.
I have clearance for a venue. So we've been very fortunate to work with the commission here too. The commission has actually come in and used Burlington Training Center as a training facility. Okay. So they've done that a couple different times, and they've come in and used our cage and our ring, and for when they were looking for additional judges and refs and so they have come in, they've used our facility over the courses of weekends to train their staff. So, our commissioner is already very familiar with our facility, right? So we talked a little bit about cage positioning and stuff like that. So he's good to go with, our venue here. We just need the green light for how they're going to completely do COVID testing, or what expectations are going to be of fighters. And then, I've already put together our safety protocol here, how we'll move bodies in and out and how we'll maintain social distancing if still required at that time, so on and so forth. And again, we're very fortunate that this facility is a very large facility. Technically, I could give every athlete their own space as their own dressing room.
Right.
It would be that easy. I'll just start popping open offices if that's what I have to do, hang up curtains, whatever it takes.
Yeah, I mean, you have a great facility there, and I mean, you're still looking forward ahead to these events with March, and hopefully the vaccine is in full cycle by September or whenever they plan it. But that is good. But you did mention that, like, Ontario athletes, but more importantly, Canadian athletes. We need to have shows back in this country because there's such a void, and you see these other countries like the States has had their regional shows, other countries like in Europe and what they're getting shows going again, and Canada's at a standstill. Like, how important right now is it for there's these shows to get going, Shari? Because it's not only you, but there's other promotions in the country that haven't had an event since March.
I know. It's necessary. It's and you mentioned this at the beginning of the interview, Jason, that that there was no MMA here. There was no MMA, and potentially, if we don't get moving sooner than later, and that's what you're going to see again. Yeah. That's what you're going to see again. You're going to see MMA disappear. And like I said, because there is no voice here. We don't get to get heard. The sports that get to participate right now are the ones that are pounding on their chest and the louder you are, the better shot you have of moving forward, right? The more funding behind you, the better shot you have of moving forward. So, again, we've got to change that going forward, but it is necessary. It's necessary for us to get going. It's necessary for us to, even small cards. It's athletes that we can move through. It's athletes that we can get active. And even some of the regional promotions in the States, we've been fortunate enough to have communication with them and to work on communication with them. And it's difficult to put on a show with no fans. And it's difficult when you've never put on a show with no fans because you don't know what to expect on the other side of it. And I know a lot of people think, well, it's just putting on a show, but it does equate to dollars. It's not cheap to put on a show. And when you don't have fans to put in those seats, I guess I explained this to somebody the other day, and they're saying, well, I don't understand. If you can put 2,500 seats, put 2,500 fans in a seat, why can't you sell 2,500 pay-per-views? Well, the difference is this. If I have you as a fighter, Jason, and you're coming and you typically sell to 100 people, but now 25 of your people can meet from pay for one.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a big difference. It's a massive difference. If I can sell a table, it's not the same price that I'm going to sell pay-per-view at, which is why you'll see these guys going to the States regional and their pay is getting cut by a 10th. They're seeing 1/10 what they would have made. It's just not, it's not a fun time right now. And these promoters aren't doing it because they don't want to pay them that. It's because they don't know what they're going to turn on the other side of it.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing a lot of people, when they just hear about these regional shows and they think it's the same level of the UFC, but you guys are so much driven on the live gate because you need to turn people out. You need people to come to the events. That's why you guys promote so hard in those regions you're running events at. You need those people there. And while pay-per-view and for these events is a nice extra way of getting revenue, I mean, the guarantee isn't always there because there's so many different variables, technology wise, what have you. But that's why I'm hopeful that by the end of this year, you can get some fans back because you're running a market in November where you guys ran a show in Niagara Falls that you had arguably one of your best shows of all time, just for the live gate perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, our show in November will be in St. Catharines, which would have been our November show in 2020. So we just transferred over to the following year. So, I mean, I honestly think getting our fans back is not going to be an issue, especially when we're going to be, so close to being vaccinated. It'll be curious to see how the province handles it. There's so much gray area even around getting the vaccine or those that choose not to get the vaccine. Mm-hmm. How I'm understanding it is that potentially if you choose, Jason, not to get the vaccine, some of these more crowded facilities like concerts or sporting events, so on, you'll have to show proof of vaccine and potentially not be permitted to attend.
Yeah.
So that could definitely eliminate some of our fan support. So we still have some hurdles ahead of us, but I think honestly, the most important thing to do is just to get that first show. Whether it's here at BTC, whether it's 3 fights, whether it's 6 fights, it really doesn't matter. We just need to get that first show. We've got some incredible talent in Canada and in Ontario, and a lot of them are sitting inactive. A lot of these regional shows in the States are taking the guys that have the lower end records, right? That have had 3 or 4 fights because one, they can get them cheaper and they're getting them even cheaper because they're cutting pay. And, the guys at the higher end of the card, that have the most experience, some of our guys that are probably close to going to UFC aren't getting as many opportunities because even at a pay cut, they're still higher than what some of these promotions are prepared to pay, not knowing what's going to be generated for them.
Yeah. So, and I mean, you mentioned the talent that's fought for the promotion, and some of them I know have fights lined up for this year, but, just looking at last year, and I thought, nothing says how great BTC is a promotion in Canada when you look at an Aaron Jeffrey, have a breakthrough year in 2020, Jasmine Jasdavicius, fighting for a title in CFFC, and just a host of other talent. Tisha Guthrow made it as LFA debut. What does it mean for you that this promotion in Ontario that's only run 9 events is just pumping such high quality talent out, and especially high Canadian talent out?
See, Jason, the thing is what I've always known. I've always known that there was talent here. And I've always known that, that's originally why we started this promotion is, we had 3 or 4 great fighters in our gym that just were not getting fights, couldn't get fights. Or if they did get a fight, maybe it was one a year.
Yeah.
They just didn't get that opportunity. So we always knew that the talent pool was deep. And that has honestly been our goal from the get-go. Obviously, you want to maintain the business, but our goal from the get-go has been we wanted to be that promotion that moved this talent through. So to see guys like that, be successful, I'm proud. I'm proud that we had the opportunity to give them a platform to even, whether it's 1 fight, 2 fights, 3 fights. And I can't wait to see some of the other talent, some of the young guys that we have coming up that have had 2 and 3 fights. They're going to be absolutely incredible. And I am thrilled that BTC Fight Promotions is going to have had a hand to give them, a starting stage.
Yeah, I just think just when you look at the amount of talent that you guys have put through for just 9 events in a province that this sport could have been evaporated, but just how the original past commissions handled it is really impressive. And I think it just goes to show just what you guys find in talent, how you guys find talent, and what you guys put on your show. You guys are obviously taking quality, not quantity. And I think that's an important thing for any regional promotion to put on. You got to have quality and solid events each and every time. And you guys have been able to do that. And, Shari, I'm just talking to you gets me so excited for the potential of March and getting there. Before I let you go now, Shari, let's plug BTC because you guys got the full schedule out there on your social media platforms for at least the months. There's no dates set yet, but at least the months for when your 4 events plus these 2 events that are going to be taking place at the gym. Plug the BTC platform because they're putting out some of the most original and unique content that any MMA promotion on the regional side is doing.
So our original plan was, March was hopefully going to be in Oshawa. And then a couple shows in between. June is always our Burlington home show. August was going to be Brampton. And then November will be St. Catharines. And I'm staying true to those dates and months and cities as we possibly can. We're going to be putting out our, oh, Jay, what's the word I want? What are we putting out? Come on, Jay, don't you speak Shari yet?
Not yet. I'm on the edge of my seat right now. What are you guys putting out?
You just did the videos for it. You and Josh.
Oh yeah, the weight classes. Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to be putting out the rankings here shortly. Just BTC's ranking, trying to promote Canadian athletes and and where they stand right now. BTC. So we're putting in a process for contenders for belts, so that we can move through that system efficiently, effectively, and to make sure that everybody gets that crack. To make sure everybody gets that shot. We're trying hard not to overlook anybody that, should move up the ranks for BTC. And like you said, so that we can move them on to bigger and better. So, follow us on social media, follow us, check out our website. There's always updates. I think for me, this month is a little hard, Jason, because we would have been celebrating our MMA awards.
Yeah, for sure.
We would have been celebrating great 4 solid shows and potentially athletes that would have moved on. So I think here's to 2021. BTC Fight's gonna come back bigger and better and stronger than before.
Yeah, and we all can't wait for that. I think we just can't wait for the Canadian MMA scene as a whole. And it seems the thing that I'm liking is it's promoters and promotions supporting each other. Like everyone knows that this country's got so much talent. Supporting each other has been amazing. There's no beef between it's everyone supporting each other. And I really like to see that. And I guess last question is, you mentioned it there, the rankings wise, you have a little droplet of when maybe these rankings will come out? Because I think it's going to be important for a promotion like, a regional one to actually have rankings and use them for the value of what they're supposed to be used for.
Yeah. We should have them out by mid to end of this month. That's our goal. So yeah, we're gonna post those, and then we're gonna work through them and try and get athletes, in their hometown. Whenever we can, we'll have somebody fight for, at least a contention or to move up the rankings if they're in their hometown or close to their hometown. Just to make it more fun for them. I think every athlete should have the opportunity to fight in front of their hometown crowd. I think there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
Absolutely. And what's the feedback been? Because has a lot of fighters been reaching out to you guys through social media like, hey, I want to get on these shows?
Lots and lots of fighters. I got bombarded, Patrick. unbeknownst to me, did a birthday post the other day, and I spent a large portion of my day responding to fighters, DMs, always wishing me a happy birthday, which I truly appreciated, but also, when can I fight? How do I fight? How do I get on your card? Which is great. That just tells me there's more and more talent out there. There's more and more young guys that have known that the MMA scene was back and have, got some amateur fights, and a lot of them are ready to turn pro, which is fantastic. I see it just here in our own gym. In our own gym, we've probably got 2 or 3 more fighters already that are ready to go pro under the BTC Fight banner, which, that's fantastic. So, the more fighters that are out there, the more guys that are out there, get licensed. If you're ready to go pro, get licensed. That's going to be the biggest challenge in the pandemic, is getting in for some of these bigger tests. So they should be working on that now if they think they're going to fight for us. A fighter that's ready to go, that's not licensed, is of no use to us. It's no use to any promotion, right? So they need to get on those waiting lists. They need to get that stuff in line now, so that when we are ready to go, we have a pool to choose from. We have the right pool to choose from.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Shari, it's been a blast talking to you. And I should mention, as it was your birthday this past week, happy belated birthday, Shari. And hopefully that we get to see some BTC events get going again in 2021, because the province need it. More importantly, you guys need it. And I think there's just such a craving for local sports to come back, as, you guys run shows wherever they may be, but there just hasn't been anything in Ontario regionally like this. So I think there's going to be a huge plus for everyone and the fans of, your region, and not even combat sport fans, but I think they'll just tune out for the fact that there's events going on. And I can't wait to see you guys continue to set trends and break records in this province.
I appreciate it, Jason. Thanks so much.
Well, thanks, Shari. And we look forward to seeing a big 2021 for BTC Fight.
Absolutely.